Hey guys, today I'm showing off not my collection, but my friend's manga collection of over 200 volumes. He and I started collecting around the same time last year, around August, but we have different tastes in manga, so I'm hoping that this video will give everyone a new recommendations that you wouldn't normally find on my channel. Again, this isn't my manga, but I'll be briefly explaining every series with the descriptions that I find on my anime list, and I'll also be telling you what my friend thought of every series. So let's start off the collection with what's on the first shelf, which is Magi, a story about a young powerful magician called Aladdin who has been trapped in a room for most of his life, but finally is able to set out on a journey to explore the world along with his friend who he can summon from his flute. The story is about fateful encounters where you'll find Aladdin meet new friends as they begin an adventure that will change the fate of the world. This is a really great action manga with a combination of lighthearted moments where you'll join Aladdin as he learns more about himself and his place in the world. This is one of the top recommendations from my friend's collection. Next is Hell's Paradise, a story about a failed assassin who, tired of killing a betrayal, has been sent to his execution. As much as he is tired of living and wants to finally end it all, he wants to return home to his wife, who is his only reason to live. So, instead of being executed, the ninja accepts the proposal to search for the elixir of life in exchange for being set free with his life. The island with the elixir of life is said to be paradise, full of mysteries with those not fully prepared to see what the island has in store for them. In my friend's opinion, this story seems to be predictable with an okay art style, but as I always say, I believe everyone has different tastes, so if this seems interesting to you, definitely check it out. Next we have Dead Mount Death Play, about a necromancer called Corpse God who is fighting against the church who is trying to conquer him. On the brink of death, his reincarnation magic activates where he is then transported to the modern world and placed into the body of a kid where he has to figure out what he has to do next in the new world. My friend believes that this story is not too well written with plot holes and a lackluster overarching plot, so not the biggest recommendation. Next we have all 5 volumes of Fraud Frost, about a charismatic, bespectacled woman called Joanna Frost, who, after making a deal with the devil, has turned her life into a legend passed down from generation to generation. One day she saves a young boy from the hands of a criminal, and he joins her on her journey to find pieces of her long-lost demon. This seems to be an okay mystery thriller that my friend believes devalues itself after volume 3 because the manga starts to transform itself into kind of a different story at that point. Moving on to the next series, which is Ajin, and Ajin is the label for the mysterious immortal demi-humans that can be captured for a large bounty so the government can perform inhuman experiments on the rare beings. Our main character is a high school student who gets into a deadly traffic accident only to be mysteriously revived and mislabeled as an Ajin. After a group of anarchist Ajin contact him, he must choose who to fight: the Ajins or the humans. Next is a manga called Astra Lost in Space, where in 2061, 8 high school students embark on an exciting interstellar camp, only for their ship to be mysteriously transported 5,012 light years away from their home planet. Hopelessly lost and quickly running out of resources, the students must find their way back home, and you join their journey of fighting for survival in space as dark truth surrounding their situation slowly reveals himself. This is a really good space story with a great cast of characters who all learn to grow as a team as well as individuals. It's one of those stories where you don't hate any of the characters because you understand their motives behind all their actions. Towards the end of the series, this manga does get kind of wordy because there is a lot of information that begins to reveal itself, so if you don't like that, you can always watch the great anime that adapted the source material completely in one season. Next is all 13 volumes of Dead Man Wonderland, which is about a middle school student who is falsely convicted for a massacre of his entire class and then forced into a privately run prison that functions as a theme park called Dead Man Wonderland. Now he has to face the new horrors behind bars with the most dangerous criminals in the world, where it also is revealed that many people there have the power to manipulate their blood as a weapon. My friend told me that he didn't like the main character and didn't like the fact that he was always shown as weak and ever around him was shown as super strong. I've read this series as well and would say that it's an addicting read and hard to walk away from the story once you have it in hand, but the story starts to become predictable and I found the ending to be lackluster. Moving on to Are You Alice, which is about a young man who stumbles into the weird and wacky world of Wonderland, where he is known as Alice. Commanded by the ruler of the land, the Queen of Hearts, he has no choice but to take part in the murderous game of kill the white rabbit or else there are deadly consequences in store for him. My friend said that the beginning is a little slow and confusing because the author will give a lot of foreshadowing and will leave you lost when you first read it. This is another okay recommendation if you're interested in a complete series. Next is a story that my friend really doesn't recommend called I'm Standing on a Million Lives, an isekai where the main character is granted the role of a farmer by the one known as the Game Master. The story follows his life of adventuring along with his two classmates who must complete random quests if they want to stay alive and protect the real world from demons and monsters they meet. My friend believes that the scenes in this manga don't really make too much sense as they throw you around the story too much without explaining what just previously happened. He dropped this at 3 books, so if you're interested, you should maybe read this online first or watch a few episodes of the anime first. On to a new shelf, and we're gonna 86, a military novel that shows the divide between the Republicans who command a mecha army of juggernauts in a war against the Legion. After years of war, the Republicans boast about having suffered 0 casualties, but that's due to the fact that the juggernauts are piloted by people of the 86th district, human people who are unjustly seen as below the Republicans and not even worth being called human beings. The light novel does a good job of showing the various points of war with the different ways of how people are treated simply based on their nationality. You follow the main character who is an 86 and lower on the totem pole but much stronger than others, and you read about how he begins to change the world. Next is a light novel series called The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt, a comedy fantasy series about a prince of a small and weak kingdom who just wants to sell his country and live a quiet life. Unfortunately, his genius only allows him to accomplish great things for his people and his kingdom, making his dream of a quiet leisure life harder and harder to obtain. My friend believes this series has its funny moments but dislikes how even though he does it with purpose, the prince acts very pretentious in the series. An interesting comedy recommendation for anyone interested. Next is Kanosaba, a really great comedy light novel and anime that follows our smart but lazy main character who is transported into a parallel world where he and his party of 3 oddball girls are on an adventure to defeat the Demon King. This is well known as one of the best comedy isekais that have a great cast of characters and parodies a lot of what you see in other isekais. If you're looking for something that would make you laugh, the anime is a great way to get into this story, and the light novels are just as good and will continue the story for you. Next is a light novel called Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon, which I actually gifted my friend, and it's about a man who reincarnated as a vending machine in a new world. The vending machine is able to earn coins that keeps itself stocked, powered, and upgraded with new skills along with the ability to speak with only pre-recorded vending machine phrases. This story is an interesting take on the isekai genre, giving a game-like story with an odd twist. Another light novel that you guys would like is The Rising of the Shield Hero, where our main character is transported into a new world and given the title of the Shield Hero, labeled as the weakest hero due to lack of offensive capability. After being betrayed by his only companion, our Shield Hero is branded a criminal and made an outcast, filling his heart with hatred, causing him to swear vengeance against all who have wronged him. This series also has a good anime adaptation if you're interested, and reading the light novels will give you more insight into the main character's personality along with better world building that was lacking in the anime. This is a great series for anyone that likes stories about an underdog that is treated poorly due to their title. Next, we have another light novel series called Infinite Dendrogram that takes place in the year 2043, where a full dive VR MMO has been released that is able to perfectly simulate the 5 senses and promises to offer players a world full of infinite possibilities. You follow a soon-to-be college student begin the game with his brother, as you will see what he will discover and encounter in this game world known for incredible realism and infinite possibilities. My friend likes how the main character is portrayed in this world and likes this light novel as another game-type story. Moving on to the manga version of The New Gate, an online game traps thousands of players into a death game, but our main character is able to free them all by defeating all the bosses. Except after he defeats the last boss, he alone is swallowed up by a strange light and then finds himself inside a game world 500 years in the future. Now, my friend likes the art for this manga, but believes the story lacks the world building and misses big points from the original light novels. If you want to get into this, the light novels would probably be the best way to experience this story. Next is Aka, a mystery police story where our main character is the second in command of the inspection department of Aka, a national body of the kingdom that provides public services to its citizens. Hearing rumors of a coup planning to overtake the government, our main character is tasked with inspecting all 13 state branches as you follow the discoveries during his audits. My friend personally prefers the anime over the manga because he believes this story is better experienced with the moving visuals and the great voice acting. So I know I've been saying to watch the anime of a few of these series because that's the easier way to get into a series, but for Aka, my friend would say to watch the anime over reading the manga. Next is Solo Leveling, the light novel and the manga adaptation about Jinwoo, known as the world's weakest hunter who gets his life changed after a near-death experience grants him a game system installed into his life. This game gives him quests and forces him to complete training programs that slowly level him up and grants him strength that other hunters can't obtain. A really good weak to strong story that my friend believes the light novel would be a much better read than the manga, but the manga is also a great way to read this story. Next we have a manga series called City, made by the author who made Nisa Joy. So if you like that series, you would love this one. It is a slapstick comedy manga that centers around a penniless college student who moves into a town full of bizarre people. This manga will introduce you to a lot of fun characters within that city and is a high recommendation for someone who is looking for a slice of life comedy manga. Next is a manga series called Golden Kamui, a story about a man on a journey to find gold in order to keep a promise to his lost brother in arms. According to a legend, the gold is hidden in a location that can only be found when a map made of the tattooed skin of escaped convicts is brought together. The story follows his journey of revenge, murder, and greed. This is another good shonen series that my friend recommends. You can either read this or watch the anime, as he believes both are good, with the manga having a slight edge. Moving on to Gundam the Origins, an action mecha manga that focuses on the ace pilot that believes he can foil the Federation's plan to build a mobile suit by attacking the research base. Except he was wrong, because a prototype was already active and they began to fight back with their mobile suit Gundam. Now in the middle of this fighting, our ace pilot needs to repel a squad of mobile suit invaders in order to protect his friends and family. This is a well done manga, although with a little bit of an older style. You will learn the start of the Gundam series, and if you're a fan of mecha stories, you would love this. Next is Grand Blue Dreaming, a comedy manga that is one of the top recommendations in this collection. It follows a new college freshman as he is forced to join the diving club with his school that begins his new life of drinking every day with his clubmates. What is great about this is that it isn't just a straight slapstick manga and has a linear plot that progresses as our main character gains a new love with diving, along with having fun with his new friends every day at his new school. If you're looking for a really great comedy manga with a good plot, Grand Blue Dreaming is highly recommended. Next is another recommended light novel series called The Irregular at Magic High School, which is about a world where magic is taught as a technical skill. Our main character is tested into high school where his test scores and status show him as a weak magic user, except he actually possesses extraordinary technical knowledge, physical combat capabilities, and unique magic techniques, making him an irregular at a magical high school. The backstory of the characters is much better explained in the light novels than the anime, so if you watch the anime first and you feel confused, just know that the light novels better clarify the plot points. Continuing with the light novel recommendations, the saga of Tanya the Evil is about a salaryman who is challenged by Being X, a self-proclaimed god who reincarnates him into an industrial world of magic as an innocent young girl. Being X hopes that if the situation was dire enough, even a non-believer like him would pray to God for help. Now as a young girl thrown into an ongoing world war, he quickly rises up the ranks with his aptitude for war as he begins his saga as Tanya the Evil and as he begins to seek world domination. The novel does a good job of showing the main character's thoughts on God and the afterlife, and is a fun read if you like stories of military strategies and battles. Another top recommendation is Spy X Family, where a spy is tasked with the mission of investigating a politician, and in order to do so must create a fake family to enroll his daughter in the same school as the politician's son. He adopts a daughter that is secretly an esper with the ability to read minds and pretends to marry a wife that is also secretly an assassin. All three of them live peacefully together as a fake family, but still carrying on their own agendas without trying to show the rest of the family their secret. This is a really great action comedy manga that has very wholesome family moments. This is a manga that everyone should read and is very easy to get into, even for beginners. Moving on to Classroom of the Elite, a story about a genius student who is misplaced in the worst ranking classroom at his high school because he does not want to bring attention to himself. Despite that, he is later forced to use his intelligence to overcome the differences and clash with other classes in order to move lowly class D into the best ranked class A position. The story is about outsmarting all your opponents in order to accomplish your end goal, and our protagonist is willing to do it by any means necessary, even if it means using his other classmates. This is a good series with an okay anime adaptation. Another great light novel that is highly recommended is Spice and Wolf, about a young traveling merchant who one day makes a deal with the wolf goddess. If he helps her escape the villagers, she will help him gain success in his merchant endeavors. Together they roam from town to town in search of business, and you follow the ups and downs of traveling with the shrewd wolf goddess. This story has great character development that talks about the struggles of being a merchant in the past and even helps you learn minor business tricks. This is a great romance adventure story for anyone looking for a story with great characters. The next series is another great isekai light novel called So Soma Spider, so what? An isekai where the Japanese classroom is reincarnated into a new magical world, except our main character who is reborn as a spider instead of a human. Reborn in one of the most dangerous places possible, our spider must survive using skills she gains off the new world's point-based system. A strength that sets this light novel apart from others is that there are multiple chapters that switch to another character's perspective, which allows for great world building and allows the reader to gain a complete insight on the reasoning for the actions of the villains and the heroes. This is one of the top recommendations for someone looking for one of the best isekai light novels that my friend has ever read. Next we have Overlord, a very popular anime and light novel that is another isekai where the protagonist gets stuck in an online game as his character, who is a skeleton, also known as the most powerful wizard. The world in the game begins to change as NPCs begin to gain emotion, and now stuck in a new world, our protagonist aims to take over the new world as the leader of his guild. This is a good light novel and anime that does a good job of world building with interesting characters if you're looking for a story about an overpowered protagonist in a new world. Since this does have an anime, if you're on the fence about this, you can always watch the anime first and then dive deeper into the story with the source material. Next is GTO, a really funny classic manga that my friend got because he really enjoyed the anime. The story follows a pervert and former gang member who becomes a teacher as he attempts to outwit and win a class that is determined to have him removed from the school. This is a really good manga that shows someone who tries to change his past by the actions of his present. Also, my friend is missing a few volumes from his GTO collection, so if you know anyone selling this manga, please DM me on Instagram so I can help him add his collection. The next series is a light novel series called How a Realistic Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, where the main character is transported to another world expected to be a hero, except his idea of being a hero is different from others as he wants to rebuild the economy and get the country back on its feet. He'll be a hero in this new world, not through war or adventure, but through the administrative reform. This is a light novel with good world building and a good cast of characters and shows a lot of countries, but my friend believes that the story gets less fun to read around volume 3 and 4 when there's more of a harem aspect. Next we have a short 2-volume series called One Piece Ace's Story, and this is a great side story if you're a fan of Ace from One Piece. The story follows Ace and the first member of Ace's Spade Pirates, Mass Deuce, and follows their beginnings as seafaring buccaneers that expands on their characters, and again, a good recommendation from my friend to any One Piece fan. Our last series in this collection is One Piece, where before his execution, the Pirate King confirms the existence of the great treasure called the One Piece. After 22 years, Monkey D. Luffy begins his search for the One Piece and strives to become the new Pirate King. Armed with just a straw hat, a small boat, and a rubber body, he sets out on a journey as he gathers his own crew and a worthy ship that will take him to the One Piece. My friend loved this story of Luffy who grows into his own through his adventures and shows that you don't have to change who you are and it's good to be yourself. If you've seen the anime, you may have seen the long drawn out fight scenes, but the manga does not do this with the fights being the perfect length, so starting the manga would be much easier than starting the anime. I know that seemed like a lot of manga bought in a short amount of time, but my friend and I actually buy a lot of manga together whenever we can find deals on either Reddit, Amazon, or Right Stuff. And if you ever shop on Right Stuff, please use the affiliate link below to support the channel at no cost to you. I want to keep posting on this channel, so I'll keep trying to come up with more ideas that aren't the usual manga haul or manga review, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.